Good evening, and welcome to another Monday night here on the Opening Kick. We are happy to have you with us after another look, man. I sound like a broken record after another crazy weekend, and now that the playoffs have been revealed, people are all up in their fields. One Smoke Dixon, always my illustrious co-host, my man who is never short on words, who had everybody fired up a few weeks ago. I think this week we might have some apologies in the comment section to my man Smoke over here, who caught some heat for not being very smart on what he thought about Bama in the playoffs. But with that said, here we are, man. Weeks later, playoffs been revealed and the tide is out.
Oh, wow. Shocker to everybody except, I don't know. Y'all, I just want to hear the Smoke. You know what? I apologize. You actually know what you're talking about. Strength of schedule means nothing right now. It should mean something. But like I said last week, it was never in the equation. And that's just what it is.
You called it, man. Well, that was my introduction. Smoke, how you doing, man, on this Monday night? We ready to rock?
Man, I'm always ready to get this thing on. Let's get some more people upset at me for speaking.
Hey, they can't be, man. You can get upset with you, Smoke, but you were spitting truth. And Marvin echoed your comments later. I mean, I don't think people realize, and if you don't, I don't intro Smoke like he gets introed on the Bama Standard. You know, former All SEC Bama defensive back, played at Miami, scout for Miami, coached in every level of college football. Look, man, you can get mad at this man to my left, right, whatever. I'm left-handed and dyslexic. You can get mad at him all you want when he makes his hot takes, but he ain't coming from a place of just blowing smoke. No pun intended. The man knows what he's talking about. And look, when he saw problems a few weeks ago, but that leaves, I get there's debates all over the table, but one thing's not debatable. You got to win the football games that you're supposed to win to get there. And if you don't, you really got nobody to blame but the man in the mirror, right?
You know what, Petty? What comes across most of the time with people that jump on air and they start speaking just trash, I think everyone gets lumped into the group that's not prepared. I actually watch a ton of daggone football, and I'm okay in terms of intelligence of football. I've been around some. I've built some really good teams. I've been around some really good teams, and I think I know what it looks like. And when I smell bull crap from a mile away, yeah, I've been blessed with a good nose to understand what it smells like, and real good eyesight on what it looks like. I've never tasted it because once I see it and smell it, there ain't no way I'm putting my mouth on it. And like I said, I'm not just coming with hot takes to get clicks, likes, or followers, to get anybody up in arms. It's just a God honest truth. And some people, the ones that hate the truth, dislike smoke. But I'm an acquired taste. Just like great wine, just like great steak. You can't just throw A1 sauce on me and think it's okay or pull me out of a box. I actually come in a barrel and I'm aged well. And when it hits your palate, if you don't know what it tastes like, you're going to spit it out and like, puh, what is this trash? But the good people that understand it, got a real distinctive palate, man, they love what I got going on. So, hey, listen, let's shoot it and let's get rid of it.
Hey, man, we got a full show. My man just called himself fine wine and aged beef. I freaking love it. No better way to start. Look, we got a full show. We're going to talk about Bama being left out, SMU getting that final spot. We're going to talk about Saban's comments on what should be viewed as far as by the playoff committee versus what Booger McFarland said shortly thereafter. And then we're going to talk about some bowls, man, because guess what? The teams that we talk about the most, the one that I graduated from and Smoke played for, and then the one I cheer for are now searching around in some Florida bowls that we're not sure mean too much anymore. But with that said, before we get all that going, we got to get a little bit of love to the people that keep the lights on here at the Bama Standard and the Open Kick, and that is one Lambstone Company. And my man's not running the banner, so I'm going to make sure I get them up, get them some love. Check them out at realrockstone.com. That's Lambstone Company. Have you ever dreamed of having beautiful natural stone in or around your home? Well, don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Lambstone Company's selection of natural stone products to meet all your project needs. Lambstone is located in Aniana, Alabama, and is one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. So contact them today and tell them we sent you by using the promo code the Bama Standard to receive 10% off your first offer or your first purchase. With that said, man, let's get this show going. I know the fans are here. I know everybody has opinions. Everybody's in their feels one way or another. You were pretty poignant about this a few weeks ago. Did the committee get it right, leaving Bama out and putting SMU in?
Absolutely. And I don't think SMU is a better team than Alabama by no means, nor do I think SMU has a realistic shot of winning the national championship over Alabama. But the merits that they were judged on, the criteria that they were judged on, SMU belongs in that. You can't lose 3 games, and I get it, it's the toughest conference in college football, but you can't lose 3 games, and 2 of the 3 L's are to a 6-win team and a 5-win team, the bottom of your league. Just doesn't look right. And it's hard to put you in just because you're so highly inconsistent. Yeah, the committee is more consistent, and they just value a team that played in their conference championship game, even though that conference championship game, for the most part, and I was texting with you, first half was unwatchable. Second half was okay because Clemson's not a good team either.
No, they're not great.
Right? So you had 2 average versus average teams playing. So the other average team just had to come out on top. And the committee showed you that they still ranked Clemson 12th and ranked SMU above them, even though Clemson beat them in the conference championship. So that should tell you a lot. That it's great parity in college football, but the Bama factor is not there when you lose bad games.
Well, and look, man, and that's the problem. I think the biggest problem here is 2 things are true at the same time, and people can't accept that. One thing is, yeah, the SEC probably shouldn't be judged at the same standard as teams from conferences that get to play Wake Forest, Purdue, and those kind of off weeks where you really do have gimmies on the schedule. But on the flip side, you can't look at a team's resume and say, you lost to Kentucky at home. They won 1 SEC game. You went on the road to Oklahoma, who had 5 wins at the time and scored 3 points. And they were broken down to a point of having no offense. But again, as fans, as people that watch college football, just what you said, you watch that ACC championship game and the first half, it's like these are 2 mid teams playing. Any team, I don't give a crap if they lost to Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Florida, whatever. You know, without a doubt, if you put those 2 teams, and then let's throw South Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama in this mix. We're going to use those 3. Are probably going to be the ones we're talking about from the SEC because those were the 3 on the bubble that got left out. I think anybody that has a football mind that's watched throughout the years watching that says, well, shit, there's 3 SEC teams. One of them just did it a week before, South Carolina beating Clemson. And that team lost to both Alabama and Ole Miss. So our eyes kind of tell us that Ole Miss, Bama, and South Carolina could probably beat both these teams. One of them's got to bye. Well, no, neither one of them's got to bye, but both of them are now in the big tournament. And that's where people are just like, they can't get over the truth of the fact is, yeah, you can't lose to Oklahoma, but on the flip side, look what this tournament is. You look at you pull up the bracket and print it, and you're like, what the hell is this big batch of mid?
Yeah. And again, like college football got it wrong in terms of understanding what most intelligent fans want. Like, we want to see star-studded players playing into this playoffs, but they want parity, and they want the underdog to cheer. They want the person in the corner of the bar that has the SMU Mustang shirt to say, hey, we got a realistic shot. But the ones that understand football and understand in the sport, like at the end of the day, this comes down to depth. And when you watch SMU play against Clemson and you watch the talent level, just the differential in terms of talent level up front, like, Clemson took their foot off the gas. And then Cade Klubnik came back and played like he often does, inconsistent as hell too. Mm-hmm. But the first half of that game, you could have turned the TV off and like, I can't do this anymore. They were SMU dropped passes. They couldn't block those guys up front. You just saw the talent level. And SMU is really one player away from getting blown out by 50 points. And I think that's what we don't understand right now that the playoffs is going to prove. The better teams that have the stronger talent level and better depth, it's going to look totally different. You telling me if SMU loses their quarterback just like Georgia did in a conference championship, they actually win it, they get their faces blown off.
No.
So this is football. It's a contact sport. Guys are going to get hurt. And when they do, and it's unwatchable, I hope the college football playoff committee don't blame everybody for turning their TVs off.
That's a great point, Smoke. I think the numbers are going to bear out. You look at one half of this bracket, and it's literally Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State. The winner of SMU, Penn State gets Boise. Like, who the hell cares? Like, and I'm sorry, this isn't sour grapes. Take out the Bama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, put Miami, put anybody in there. Nobody wants to see Boise waiting on that game. It is what it is. That whole side is just, and that's where people are like, we get it. But what I don't understand, and we're going to get to this, this probably rolls into the whole what Saban had to say versus we got some feedback. What Saban had to say versus what Booger had to say, because Booger, you know, we'll, like I said, we'll get to that. But it's not like we don't have. It's not like we're coming into the new age and building the damn wheel as cavemen. Like, there's never been a wheel before. This is first. Like, we've got basketball and baseball who have absolutely done it right and given us the blueprint how to do it. Hey, just because you won your conference, if your conference sucks ass, you're not getting a top 4 seed in the big dance. There's been a lot of years when the SEC was really weak. You could win the SEC West and not even make the dance. But they didn't say, well, you won that little conference, so we got to stick you in here. No, they take the top 4 teams, whether it be North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, and whoever, and stick them in as top 4 seeds. So you literally let teams become the top 4 teams play a full season, work to earn a bye, and they get it taken by Boise State because they won their conference. And by God, if you watch that, they are one player, and they're what Oklahoma ran against Bama, but less. Like, it's amazing. And now they have a bye in this thing. So I'll flip it over. Nick Saban went on a rant. Kiffin started it this week. Saban was just echoing what Kiffin said.
You know what? I'm going to say it again, Pettey.
What?
I still believe that it's embarrassing for any head coach to come on national TV to lobby for their team after losing 3 games.
I agree.
Like, just cut it out. Knock it off. You're setting a poor example for your team. And everybody else, like myself, a true competitor, I'm laughing at you. Because at some point you have to give credit where credit is due. You can't blame anybody for being in a situation where you're begging. You had every opportunity to go out there and take everything that you call a team, pride, and you're into your own hands and control your own destiny. So when you come back and you get your face busted up by Kentucky and other teams and you lose games, Lane, go away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but Lane's not lobbying for Ole Miss to be in the playoffs. He acknowledged we lost to Kentucky. We blew our chance in Gainesville. He wasn't lobbying. What he was lobbying for is the fact that he said, I didn't know who was on the committee. I looked at this committee. There's no former SEC coaches. There's a Michigan guy running it. It's basically a bunch of Northern people and one person from the SEC, which is Hunter Yurachek at Arkansas. No, there is. Hold on. No, let me get this out, Smoke. Hold on. Lane wasn't lobbying for Ole Miss to be in. He's lobbying for them to say, hey, you got to view the SEC in a different light that you view these other conferences. Well, okay, Bama goes to Wisconsin earlier the year, and it's not even a contest. That's one of your off games in the Big Ten. Ole Miss goes to Wake Forest, and they pay them never to play again. Those are gimme games. That's what Lane's talking about. He's not saying Ole Miss deserves to be in, South Carolina deserves to be in. He's saying we need to fix this committee if we're going to have this playoff thing where you can actually look at teams, because nobody on that committee's ever coached a game in Death Valley or Tennessee or hell, South Carolina on a Saturday night. It's just a different thing. And that's what and then Saban echoed the same thing. So Saban wasn't lobbying for Ole Miss. They're lobbying for the SEC.
I can care less if Lane said it or Saban said it. I'm saying this. If Lane Kiffin does not know who's on that committee, shame on you. That's your job. And again, regardless of who's on the committee, they're watching the games. And no one cried about it when Miami was left behind Alabama and Miami had a better record, just because the SEC got a bump. And if in past years there were 2 or 3 SEC teams that was in the Final Four, and Bama was in plenty of times and not winning their conference, they got in. Like, other conferences complained about that too. So I just, it irks me a little bit when you don't get things your way and you want to come and lobby about who's making those decisions. At some point, I'm going to say it again. I said it about the Florida State situation. If the SEC does not to shut up and fix their own business, and if they want to schedule games against cupcakes, do that. Because they're not honoring the system of going out and playing against really good teams. They're just saying, if you go undefeated, or if you only have one blemish on your schedule, there's a higher percentage that you make the playoffs. Go see your AD and go fix that. But don't get on national TV or in front of a press conference and bellyache about why your conference does not have 7 teams in. Because you're not lobbying for everybody else. You're lobbying for yourself. It's not the conference that you're lobbying for. Because if you're lobbying for someone in the conference, you're telling me that you're going out and you're lobbying for South Carolina, you're lobbying for Alabama, you're lobbying for you. So it's okay. It's a hidden agenda. Everyone wants their team to get in. But if you want to get in, win. Coach better. Teach better. Players play better. But it's said, it's done. Fix the problem. Go win your bowl game and blow whoever you play out. Let's blow them out. Put 60 on them. Do the same thing that Georgia did. But don't complain about what happens or what happened. It just looks bad. If I'm one of the players, I'm going to tell my coach, bro, you tell us, stop worrying about the past and just control the controllables. Like, all we can control is who we play. So we play whoever we play next. Let's move on.
I have to disagree, Smoke, because if Lane Kiffin doesn't speak up, if Nick Saban doesn't speak up, then we get this same stupid ass system year after year, and we get to see Boise States and Tulane's and all these teams get buys every year, and nobody wants to watch that shit. So if these coaches don't speak up, I'm sorry, more people.
What are you speaking up? But my question is, what are you speaking up for?
To fix the system.
You can't fix something that you don't control. You don't control the system. The rules are this, right? And you have to play the game the way the rules are set up. They're telling you right now, strength of schedule does not matter. So if you have a team on your schedule next year that might give you an L that's outside of your conference, take them off. And don't give college football good quality football. That's it. But don't complain about it. They're telling you how to play the game. Play it. And when they come back and the ratings are down, because you're seeing Bama play Mercer, the Citadel, and Wofford as their non-conference game, then hey, it's okay. Just go through the SEC, lose one, and then you'll be 11-1, and you'll be in the playoffs. Just do that. So SEC teams, stop scheduling tough matchups that make quality football for college football.
Well, that's what they're
disagreeing with that. I don't want that to happen. But that's what they want you to do. So do it. And don't complain about it.
Well, then that's dumb as hell, because then they're wanting a watered down product. Nobody wants, and that's what the SEC, that's what they're screaming. Do you want a watered down product? Because that's what we're going to do. If you're going to penalize us for playing a tougher schedule.
I don't like watching bad football, but they're telling you that's what they want. So give them what they want.
Oh, trust me, Bama's AD's already come out. Burns already come out and said, hey, we're already looking at changing that. We're going to schedule Alabama A&M and Huntsville and
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, but that's great. Well, that's what you want. That's what you're going to get, because the SEC will look. The SEC's proven you screw with us, we're going to go do what you ask of us, and then we're going to make a mockery of it.
Okay. I don't think no one on the committee is telling you not to do that.
Yeah. Well,
they're recognizing the column on the left, like I told you guys last week, and the one on the right. They're saying, we don't really care what that is either. Just don't have a lot of those.
Well, that's the way it is. Do you agree that's the way it should be?
No, I don't agree with any of that. Strength of schedule should matter. And I'm going to say, okay. So here's the thing, Pettey. Whenever you speak of something that another person does not agree with, they take it as controllably not listening to what you're saying. I agree with the strength of schedule. The way that football and this game's played is being competitive. You set up the best teams, and you play against them, and you beat them so you can get your team prepared. The same way that Coach Saban set up Alabama, and good quality coaches do. But when you're getting to a system that's telling you we don't honor that, why are you still doing that and complaining about it when you don't get the results that you want?
Just go schedule cupcakes like they used to do and move on. Because strength of schedule does not matter anymore.
No, they said they proved that this year. I'm with you.
Conference championships matters, and who plays in them. Just will get to your conference championship, or just take one L in your super conference and move on.
No, you're right. I mean, that's what the committee is. And look, I fully feel that Alabama's again. Burns already come out and said it. We're already looking at future schedules, and not because Alabama's been the king of opening kickoff games against marquee matchups. Yeah, I mean, why do that to yourself?
Stop.
Yeah,
you just made a bunch of money for college football. Stop.
No, and yeah, you're right, Smoke. In the system that they're creating, that's the thing to do. But good Lord, if they're wanting, like, if you're trying to fix things, if you're trying to get things back on the right path, that's really not the way to do it. If you're wanting the best outcome, because Booger's sitting there saying, "Oh, they got it right." Well, in a sense, yeah, he's right. They got it right based off their effed up system. But did they get it right for deciding who the best team is, putting the best teams in the playoff, having a real a genuine playoff system, not what you said a few weeks ago, which is absolutely what it is. If Boise State has a bye, it's a participation tournament.
But that's a culture that we live in. Like, just think about the culture that we're in right now. Everyone's happy. Nothing's hard. And you just go and just do the easy. They resist against hard. Hard is playing a good strength of schedule, and you go and play the best, and whatever results happen, you live with it. If you take an L early because it's 2 top 5 teams, usually the committee will say, you know what? They went out, they played their best, and it was a darn good game. And if they end up with the end of the season and they're 10-2 and they lost another game against a quality opponent, but another team is 12-0 and has ran their conference and they played against nobody, will honor those wins and will honor the team that went out and played against the best. But they don't want that. So stop living in the old system and adapt and advance. Coaches don't do well with that either. Just give me a heads up.
And beat Oklahoma and Kentucky, and then you ain't got to worry about this shit, right?
Man, beat who you're supposed to beat.
Well, do you think, and I'll be honest, man, I think there's a few teams in college football that move the dial when things go either for or against. That's Notre Dame. That's Ohio State. That's Texas. That's Alabama. Alabama being the first team left out of this deal in the way in which it happened, that was the craziest thing even, Smoke. We're watching the beginning of that game, and the way SMU was playing, the rhetoric in 3 hours literally changed on Bama being in the playoffs for being out. Early in that game, commentators in other games, other stuff are already talking, well, SMU's playing so bad they played their way out of the playoffs. Well, then SMU makes some miraculous comeback, and in a 2-hour span, work their way right back into the playoffs in 3 hours. Quite magical. But
I know you're trying to come up with some conspiracy theory.
No. What I'm saying is Alabama moves the dial. With that happening and all the ways it worked out, it pushed Bama out. With Bama being out and what Saban is saying about there needs to be change, this, SMU should have had to win to get in because they hadn't beat anybody up to that point to begin with, so they shouldn't even have been in the 8th spot. Do you think with a team like Alabama, or if it had been Ohio State or Notre Dame, we'll use any of the 4 or 5 or 6 teams that move the needle in college football, do you think Bama being left out changes the format next year?
I think Bama, that's not the reason why the format's going to change. The reason why the format's going to change is because Nick Saban says so. Nick Saban, every single year when Bama was close to being out, he would make that daggone one big speech, and it swung it the other way. The fact that Kalen DeBoer is there now, like, he don't move the needle. Like, you would want to see Nick Saban and Alabama in the college football playoffs instead of SMU and Rhett Lashlee. It's the fact that Bama is just, they're right there on the cusp, but it's Kalen DeBoer. Kalen don't move the needle like Nick did. So I think Nick is talking himself into being on that committee, and that guy that's leading it now, Ward, I think he's going to be out, and they're going to bring more construction and more rationalization of like quality coaches thinking beyond computer points and people that don't really watch football that much to give you some honest opinions on who should be and who should not be in the playoffs. Because I think Coach Saban, some old former coaches, being on that panel, being on that committee, would have said it right and would have done it right. And again, he said it. I don't think Alabama should be on from what the merits are of being in the college football playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But the week before, when they had SMU 3 slots ahead of Alabama, showed you what was going to happen. Now, if they would have flipped that and the strength of schedule would have made sense, Alabama would have been in 8, SMU would have been in 11. And if SMU takes that L, then they're out. Bama does go down, but Bama's still in. So it's not necessarily I disagree with what would happen, but it's what happened the weeks before that set the trend for what happened at the end. Because that miraculous comeback, I've said it again, average versus average, and average has to win. And one of those teams, somebody had to come out. And when those teams aren't so far off, it's always going to come down to how good was the game. That game wasn't watchable. I don't want to see Kevin Jennings play in college football playoffs. Honestly, I don't. Mm-mm. He is, and I think they've earned it. But if you ask me, Jalen Milroe or Kevin Jennings, I'm going to say I'd rather see Jalen Milroe play. If you say Cam Ward or Kevin Jennings, I'd rather see Cam Ward play.
Well, hell, he's up for the Heisman. He ain't even in the playoffs.
Right. I'd rather see Cam Ward versus Penn State, Jalen Milroe versus Notre Dame, than SMU going up there for participation in the Head of Boy Trophy and get blown out by 40. Like, you guys remember what that TCU Georgia National Championship looked like?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch much of it.
Nope.
There you go.
Well, in that, look, that's when Kiffin was asked, well, who would you put on it? He immediately shot like former coaches, and that's representatives from the Big 10, the Big 12, and he had it queued up. He said Nick Saban and Steve Spurrier, who would be perfect representatives that have coached in all the venues down here and coached in other conferences, been a little bit of all of it. And I think people, if you're an SEC fan, I know Saban's got the Bama ties, but you want Saban on that committee because he's going to lobby for the SEC because of what the
he's
SEC
going to lobby for right.
Yeah.
You know, every time you say SEC, the people that don't like SEC are saying, well, you're only going to put a guy on there.
You're right. You're right, Smoke.
I think he's going to get it right just because he understands the importance of the game and he's a forward thinker. And if you're always pushing it forward and trying to see the game advance, you're going to see, I want to see the best programs with the best players with the best resume play at the end of the year. And we have to get these 12 teams right. So we don't see a 30-point blowout or a team that barely sells out their stadium. Just think about this. What happens if we had a team that played really well, but they haven't sold a game out in 5 years, and you have a national televised audience there and it's only 30,000? Just think about that. That can possibly happen one of these years.
It's very possible. Very freaking possible.
Go ahead.
No, it's, I think, likely more than possible.
Right. But some people would sit down and say, hey, listen, we can't have this on TV. If they can't sell out a venue and it's close with these two teams, we have to lobby for this direction. And that's where people that are absolutely highly intelligent and understand the game, and I ain't saying the people on the committee are dumb, but I don't think they get football and the entertainment aspect of football.
And that's what I think. Again, I think that's what putting coaches and Saban and them are getting at. And I do think you're right. I didn't want to just say SEC because you're right. The SEC, that haters will say, oh, see, you're just wanting him in there for lobby for the SEC. No, I think in this year he probably would have lobbied for the SEC because it was the toughest from top to bottom. But if the roles were to reverse, the Big Ten turns into the Big Ten from the 90s and it becomes the power, Saban wouldn't be on there lobbying to put weaker SEC teams in over. He's going to lobby for what's right. I guess I was more saying in this year he would have been lobbying like, hey, guys, we probably don't need Boise. Who is Indiana? I mean, again,
Boise's in. The only conversation is how do you get SMU in if strength of schedule mattered?
That's right. Well, and that's
so again, you have to put some parameters in it for coaches to understand and ADs to understand what's going to make me qualify for the college football playoffs year in and year out if I want to challenge my team and get my team better by playing tough competitions at the beginning of the year. If strength of schedule is not a factor, remove all the tough teams off your schedule and put the cupcakes on there. That's it.
I saw a comment that just made me. I was going to make another comment that now I had a good one queued up. I was ready to respond with this, and now I'm completely. Saban is bottom of the totem pole at ESPN. His influence isn't shit.
Yeah, why even read that? Keep on going.
Because that threw me. I had a comment based off what you were saying, and that was so dumb it threw me off. Like, he's one of the most influential people in all of college football, and it's not even close.
Petty, I have a saying, okay? and this is how I usually stay out of like idiotic conversations with people that aren't really cognitively ready for a conversation. I put everybody in the line. That comment was be put in the dumbass line, and you just put them in the line. There's an intelligent line. There's people I want to talk to line. Just put them in there, because you can't make a comment like that. Just so instead of engaging in that or reading and say, hey, listen, smart guy, go over in that line. Where do I go? The front or the back? Don't care what part of the line. I'm never going to get to you, but I'm just going to put you in order of dumbasses, and you're in the dumbass line.
Boise will make it. I guess what I won't get before we move on to bowls and some other stuff, Smoke, what I'll never understand is we have a lifetime of the NCAA basketball tournament that showed you how to seed for tournaments. Look, your season plays out. You take the top, and if they 64, whatever the number is, the top 12 is the top 12 regardless, and that's who gets the top seeds. And if you're not in that, you don't get a top seed. There's been years where the ACCs had 3 1 seeds and whatever. And people didn't bitch because the conference champion of Big 12 didn't make it, and all that's the way it was. You're rewarded for what you do throughout the season. If you play in the ACC back in the old basketball days, you had earned your stripes at that point. We've had years of an example of how it's been done, and nobody's ever complained about how March Madness is set up. I think everybody's pretty damn happy with the product that is March Madness, the seeding and all that stuff. You said it, I think you said it, Smoke, in our text. It's real simple. You take 1 through 12. You put them in the playoff.
Put them in the playoffs. And
1
call
through 12.
it day. Forget that conference champions get a bye. The best 4 teams get a bye, regardless of what conference they're in, and figure it out from the end. And just keep on pushing. That's it. They're trying to make it so complicated, they've confused themselves. And again, you're never going to make it right. Number 13 is always going to cry. If you go to 16, 17 is going to cry.
That's right.
You're not going to make them happy. But if you set the rules, you set the parameters, and everyone has to fall within those, you're perfectly fine. Because everyone's going to say, well, the ACC is not as strong as the SEC. So the number 1 ranked ACC team shouldn't get a bye over the second-ranked SEC team, because the second-ranked SEC team, for the most part, in the last few years, won a national championship. So just rank out the top 4 teams, give them a bye, and everybody else fall in line. Don't matter if you won your waste management conference or you just snuck in because you played a cupcake schedule. If you're ranked in the top 12 by these requirements and these parameters, you're in. So forget who gets eliminated from the conference conference championship game. If you sucked and you got in your conference championship game and you won, that does not necessarily mean that you're going to get a bye and get in.
Absolutely. Eric D, no, college basketball has automatic bids, but they don't put them as the 1 and 2 seed. They don't give them a bye like they did Boise. They put them at the 16 seed and let them play number 1 seed Duke.
Sorry, Eric, catch up to speed, buddy. You're still on that. You're still on the slow pace.
Look, but speaking of tears, if you have tears from these last weekend, or you're just getting excited because you've gotten over it, you've manned up, you put on your big boy pants, and you're ready to head to a bowl game, don't go empty-handed. Take that title towel with you. Head to whitwillsports.com today. Get your title towel. Tell them the promo code standard and get you a little discount. And if you are heading to my town, Tampa, to the ReliaQuest Bowl to see Bama take on Michigan again, come on now. At least they gave an intriguing matchup name-wise to get some people down here. Get to come to Tampa, eat some good steak.
Hey, Petty, bowl games it's unwatchable, bro.
Okay, get your title towel, head to Tampa, and then we'll talk bowl games.
Yeah, let's
watchable. Do they?
Petty,
do they matter?
Petty, you just gave me your top 12 teams in a playoff bracket. You want me to spend my time now watching number 13, 14, and the rest of them play? You're getting this 12-team playoffs when guys didn't care about and coaches didn't care about this bowl game. You're making the bowl game like less worthy. Like, what do you want to do? If I'm an NFL type prospect, why am I playing in the bowl game? So your better players aren't going to play.
They're dumb if they do. You're dumb if you do.
So what am I watching? A spring game?
I guess if you're excited, one of those true fans, and I'm a hand-raised guy that want to see what the future may can bring. I think that's what bowl games are now. Because if you didn't know this, let me cue you in on this. I didn't know this till Saturday or after the selection committee, that there's no tier system with the SEC bowls either anymore. There's the Citrus Bowl, there is that tier, and then all the rest are the same. The Outback Bowl, the Gator Bowl is the same as the Liberty Bowl, the Music City, the Duke Mayo Bowl. The only one, and the Gasparilla is below. You've got Citrus, Gasparilla, and then just one bowl shit show sandwich. So wherever they want to put you, it's not earned. They just put you there. And if they think this matchup is good, like Ole Miss and Duke, which is guaranteed to draw the equivalent of an Alabama high school championship in attendance, then by all means put Ole Miss and Duke in a damn bowl game that nobody's going to go to. But that's where we're
at. Who's going to watch?
Who the hell? Dude, I'm on a cruise during that week. I had literally spent the last few months trying to plan what day the college playoffs were going to be and what island so I could find me a tiki bar and watch some college football. Ole Miss and Duke is guaranteeing that I'm renting some snorkels and going out in the ocean and praying a shark don't eat my ass because I don't give a, smoke.
Hey,
I don't give a fuck.
Pettey, college football is fun when good's on good and you have a really quality game. If you're telling me that the best players are going to opt out and I'm going to watch a glorified spring game at a bowl that's going to be halfway empty, most of the coaches are checked out because they're trying to get jobs anyway. The players are checked out anyway. And everybody's on the road worried about transfer portal and recruiting. And you're telling me that it's going to be competitive? Go cut on that Georgia versus Florida State game last year. You tell me how competitive that was.
It's all the bowls are going to be. You're going to have to guess which team somewhat gives a shit. And if you can guess which one that is, go bet on them because that's who's going to win because there's guaranteed to be one that does not.
And who's playing? Who's going to play in those games? If
you know
who the third string quarterback is, have fun. Because the top two guys, the starting quarterback might say, I'm opting out and I'm going to go for the draft. Your backup quarterback hit the portal, and your third stringer is going to have to play. Good luck.
Lisa McClendon says, Bama fans will show up to any game Bama is playing in. Also, why should they sit out? I don't like that. I get they may get hurt. In my opinion, anytime Alabama plays, football is worth it. That's not true.
Well, Lisa, let me give you a good story. It's not good. It's rather sad. I'm not an emotional guy, but I almost dropped a tear when I saw Jalen Smith. I forget what year. They played in, I want to say the Fiesta Bowl, and Taylor Decker pushed him, and he tore his whole knee up. And at that point, he was a top 5 pick. No reason to play. With that injury, drop foot, saw him at the NFL Combine. He couldn't even walk. The young man had to pick his leg up to go on the scale just to get himself weighed. So why are they playing? They shouldn't play because you have nothing to gain if you're a top 2 or 3 round player. If you're an NFL draftable player, there's no reason to play. Flat out. If you have a second or first round grade, third, fourth, and you want to say that can help you out, go right ahead. But financial understanding what can happen to you in that game that's meaningless, yeah, your coach is trying to get that team that's going to come back next year better anyway. So not playing in that game and opting out, yeah, we're trying to see what the next year talent looks like.
And
but
that's
for everybody has to have that understanding of who they are and why they should play. Because Jacorian Bennett, I remember a few years ago, he and I sat down and we talked about him playing in the Duke Mayo Bowl. And he played. And that helped him get drafted because he had interception. I want to say he was defensive MVP. Deonte Banks, on the other hand, had a first-round grade. Banks said, I'm not playing. Understand. Move on. Get it.
And I'll say this, and I want to ask, hey, is there ever, before I get, and look, Lisa, Bama fans should show up. Hey, but if a kid's got a chance, cheer for him, thank him for his services to Alabama, but don't let him risk that in a game that can't win you. It's just not, the bowls don't mean the same. It's not the championship, but go to the game because look, you're a Bama fan. If you love it that much, you're going to get to see the future of next year and not in a glorified spring game where it's Bama on Bama. It's Bama playing another team like Michigan, and you're getting to see the future of your team, which, hey, I actually like that a lot, but I wouldn't call it a spring game. I get to see the future, like I said, against a name brand like Michigan. So thank the guys for their service, but don't, it's not worth the risk in a game like this because it's changed so much. And again, you're getting a chance to look at the future. So it's not completely a negative to say, hey, man, it's okay to sit this one out. But to that point, Smoke, and we're about to get the question and answer going off this bowls, is there any more a benefit at all to, say you are on the cusp, you're a borderline, maybe second, third day pick. Can you boost your status coming up and playing in a bowl game still?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I'm round 1 and 2, yeah, I'm opting out. 3, 4, all the way through 7, yeah, you can help yourself out. But I'm not messing around with my guaranteed money to play one more meaningless game in terms of for myself, because now I can be selfish. I signed up to play in every regular season game and games that matter. Like the bowl game's going to matter for next year. This is the catapult for next year. So I'm going to go sit down with my head coach and we're going to have a serious business decision. Because if I'm thinking about getting hurt or injury, yeah, my mind's not right already. So I'm playing cautious. But if I can go in and sit down and say, you know what, I really need to play in this last game because I can improve my stock by showing the NFL for a quarterback, A, B, C, and D. Yeah, that can help you. But for the most part, if you're an early round guy, first 2 days, yeah, go sit down. Go train. Go get better.
I agree, man. I agree with that. So, but it's good to know that, okay, so there is still some benefits to playing in these games if you're kind of borderline. And I think you will see some guys more than you expect during bowl season show up. And I think somebody's going to ask about it. So I don't want to get into what NIL incentives, because some people do. There are some players that have it where they can sit out based off their NIL, but there's some that have it in their NIL that, hey, you're playing all the way through this thing. We got you. Smoke, we got a lot of people asking questions tonight. I don't know if it's because you fired them up a few weeks ago or what.
Let's run them, man. Let's get to these questions.
Ooh. Jeff Merriman. Okay, man, we like the super chats the best. Those are the best kind of questions, the kind that take us to Sizzler after the show. Jeff Merriman, $4.99 super chat says, wait a minute. These players are getting paid to play now. All these players should play or give their money back. I'm going to let you take that, Smoke. You're more entwined with that side of this game than any of us.
Right. If you're under contract and you signed up to play in any game, yeah, go play. I'm not saying that if you have years remaining of eligibility that you should not play. But if you're a draftable prospect and you have rounds 1 and 2 in front of you, opt out. Seriously. 3rd to 4th, sit down and go have a conversation with your coach and say, hey, coach, I might only play a half. But if this is not a meaningful game, bro, why am I going to risk getting injured and ruin my opportunity of earning later on in life? And I've never once looked down at a kid as an NFL evaluator if he opted out. It's a business decision. I gave you everything that I had already in college. The next move is for me, understanding. And if any coach feels poorly about that, you got to look at them too and say, hey, listen, coach, he's looking out for himself right now. Can he be selfish? Sure, go ahead. I don't want you around anyway.
And look, to that other side, I think a lot of NFL GMs are looking at these kids that they've got their eye on because, trust me, they know where guys are going to fall, where they're looking at in the draft. They're looking at these kids and saying, I don't want that kid to go play against Duke in the Gator Bowl and twist his ankle when we've got training camp coming up 4 weeks later. Nah, I'm cool with you sitting out that game. I saw what you did the previous 12.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm already done evaluating. Like, if you just want to get in and you want to play, go right ahead. But I'm not going to question your desire to play football if you opt out of a meaningless game. Like, this is not going to help our ranking.
No,
it's not going to help.
It's not going to help recruiting at this point.
No, like, so it's okay.
Yeah,
get the young players ready. Let them have the 15 practices where you can see next year's crop and get better.
Well, Smoke, I think a lot of it's part of the mindset change. Fans are still having to go undergo a psychological change on how we even watch and view and take the outcome of football and the way this crap, forever it did mean it was the first bowl game I ever went to was the Gator Bowl. I see it, Justin. I'm going to get to Van's question. But first question, the first bowl game I ever went to is the Gator Bowl. It was a big deal. Got to see Desmond Howard at Michigan, Elvis Gerback, dry bunch. Now you couldn't drag me there with a pole. And I think that's hard for fans. Again, at one point in my life, it meant something. Now it doesn't. That's a hard thing to get over after years because the bowls forever did. My boy Van, he was texting me earlier this morning. He's fired up. He's just as fired up with Tide fans as you are, I think, Smoke. Van Edwards, I understand it's a 12-team playoff, but what have you seen this year that screams we belong? I don't think you're going to want that answer from Smoke.
Nothing. Great analysis, man. Love it.
I think Smoke has kind of echoed that already throughout the show. He said 2 weeks ago, I don't want to see any more from this team. A team that doesn't show up when everything's on the line against Oklahoma, a team that just got ran through like shit through a tin horn, as our boy Siski likes to quote from Saban against Vanderbilt. Man, those are – look, we got our Tennessee guy in here talking, letting it know Tennessee took care of business when they had to. They played Vanderbilt and beat them when they needed to.
Hoorah. Go Vols.
Boy, the Vols got rewarded with the one hard stretch of the playoffs. They get Ohio State, and if they win that, they get Oregon. If they win that, they get Texas. If Tennessee wins this thing, they're going to absolutely earn it. No one can say they backdoored into it.
And I think when you win a national championship, you should earn it.
Absolutely.
They did everything in the regular season to have the opportunity to go on and play the best of the best to get the best thing at the end, which is a national championship ring. And if they win that, they've proven it that they're the best team in college football.
Oh,
to me, it's black and white. Win and get in, win and stay in. And the last team standing, you're the best. Stop begging and crying for opportunities that you haven't earned.
And I think this ball in the chat, I give him credit. I think he said, I don't want Boise. I don't want SMU. Bring on Ohio State. Bring on Oregon.
Whoever they bring on
this the right way.
Yeah, beat whoever they put in front of you. Don't start that now. Just beat. if they give you Boise, pummel them. If they give you Buckeyes, pummel them too. To me, I just think that the era and the culture that we're in, it's a bunch of excuse makers. And old guys, I'm 44 years old. We want to blame the young people for doing that. But young people learn from the old people. And when you cut on the TV and you're hearing old men, coaches that are leaders, complain about the reason of why they're not playing in the playoffs, it's hard for me, if I was a player, for you to be able to come and tell me how to get through hard and adverse situations. I would look at you plumb in the face, and I was one of those players. I said, Coach, you can't tell me that because you don't live by that. So get out of my face because you're a chump. You cry just like I do. So don't scold me when I start whining. Scold yourself because you're not living up to the same expectation that you're telling me. I just want to win and stay in. Don't tell me, well, we lost, but, sometimes, oh, dude, we took an L. Go home. Figure out how to win.
There you go. And look, I know it's a bitter pill, but for the SEC fans, if you want what Saban's saying to change or Kiffin saying to come to fruition, you better hope Tennessee shows up and shows out because that just backs up what they're saying because they're going against the toughest. And like you said, when Texas plays Clemson, you better hope they just maul them. You better hope the SEC shows up and shows out. Or all that noise that the SEC's been screaming all year has just been a bunch of hot air. Michael Gustafson, 2 things ruined Bama's chances versus Oklahoma. The bull crap call that cost him the TD and Milroe's pathetic attempt at a tackle on the pick 6. That's an 11-point swing there and changes the game.
Hey, man, I'm going to say this again. Jalen Milroe is one of the best damn football players that ever came through Alabama. The second that he leaves and whatever that shows up after him, I hope that we can all live with those pills. If you can't win a national championship and get in the 12-team playoffs with Jalen Milroe as your quarterback, Shame on you. He's one of the better football players in the United States. You can disagree all you want. The Army quarterback, all he does is run the football. What's their record?
11-1.
The greatest equalizer in college football is a mobile quarterback. Who's a better mobile quarterback than Jalen Milroe?
I don't know if there's one.
So if you can't win with that and surround yourself with players in a package to make sure that he looks good, that's not his fault. I know what Nick Saban did with him last year.
But the argument's going to be the Oklahoma game, Smoke, where they stopped the run. And what could he do once you stop the run?
Hey, man, listen to me. They stopped the run. Fine. What are coaches getting paid for? If they stop me from doing what I'm doing, is there anything that you can do to help me? I'm helpless out here, coach. This is the one time that I need you. Where you at? And I think everybody wants to blame this young guy. But blame is that's not on just one person. It's easy to always bicker and moan about the quarterback play. And when you lose, oh, he stinks. But I didn't hear all that when he beat Georgia. Where was all these comments? You weren't saying them either.
I'm not sure he's thrown a touchdown pass since Georgia either, though. So, I mean, it was all good when he was throwing touchdown passes, Smoke.
All right. All I'm saying is
since October 5th, he's thrown 0 touchdown passes and 9 interceptions.
I'm going to sit back on this side like I did last week, take all of the bickering and the moaning that you have about how bad Jalen Milroe is.
You're taking – no, I never said he was bad. Never said he was bad.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
Limited.
If he's not good enough, you're saying who's good enough? Ty Simpson?
If he was good enough, he would have got the job. I'm not sure he is. Right. No. Or he would have gotten the job.
So what's your answer?
I agree with you on the offense had to be tailored to him running the ball and using and taking the shots down the field when it opened up. But I do think that I'm not saying he's not great. I think he's a dynamic runner. I do think he is good. I think you can win with that. But once that was able to stop, it showed some limitations that he had that they needed to figure out another way. So that's where maybe you're right. Maybe it's on the coaches. The coaches should have put him in better positions. But it also proved the positions they were putting him in. He struggled. He struggled to read the defense. He struggled on a lot of different passes in the mid game, and it limited at times. But I do think you can win with Milroe. Hell, they got to the Final Four with him last year, and Tommy Rees. It just did it just last year. So, yeah, college football, and we've talked about this at nauseum, Smoke, is a different game than NFL. So let's not talk about his NFL prospects, just college. And just on the college, yeah, you can win. So that'll be the great debate forever with this team.
That would be. The debate ain't there. I know what he looks like, and I know what a qualified person can do with that. And it ain't what I'm seeing right now. Point blank, period. You got to win more with that. You can't always have the best at every single position. At some point, you have to make average better. It's a coach's job to take a player to a place that the player can't take themselves. And if you can't do that as a coach, you aren't a coach. You're just a cheerleader. So go on the sidelines with pom-poms and go cheer on. But a coach's job is to take a player to a place that the player can't take themselves. Other than that, we don't need one. Sorry.
BJS, Ty Simpson can outsling Milroe any day. I mean, we'll see.
Which is fine. I think Ty can probably throw the football. I just don't know what. Every backup quarterback is the greatest. You hear it time and time again. But that's just what it is. We can get to the next question.
Brian P. Browning, he's one that's been raising all kind of hell tonight. Please explain to this guy the playoff committee is a rotating list of people. It changes every other year, so Nick Saban can't go and jockey for shit Alabama team every year. Okay.
Yeah, we're not saying that he's going to lobby for Alabama. So I think you came in late and heard the comment late. But again, we read your question, so everybody knows your name now.
Gabriel Gilmore with the super chat. Like I said, we like these the best. These are the best questions, regardless if we don't like the question. They're still the best questions. Gerald Curls Dixon. Somebody's going back deep when that somebody got your recruiting photo.
I ain't never had a Jerry curl, but just keep on going.
Gerald Curls Dixon, you know what the college football selection criteria is, and if so, do you feel like the selection committee followed the process?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They never, ever once said strength of schedule was going to be one of the criteria. They told you, we're not going to punish a team that deserved to play in the conference championship game and lose. And we cried about that. SEC fans said, well, what happens if Bama goes to it and they end up 9-3? Should they be out? Or if South Carolina did? We said, no, you shouldn't punish them. So you can't punish SMU for looking very average in the first half, but coming back and making it out of a game in the second half. So, yeah, they did it right. By their criteria, the best 12 teams are in. And we have to live with it.
Jay Bake, the Bama Standard Network. Isn't this college football playoff just a sales pitch to the NFL markets of Texas and the Northeast? They screamed about growing the game, have now ruined the game.
No, I just think that it's a great marketing tool for everyone across the United States to be able to see their teams play. And you can't punish a team because they're a small market team and they've won the games that's been in front of them. Before the college football playoff, the schedules are already set. So you can't go play a stronger strength of schedule and just change it the day that they said, we're going to do this. No, the schedule's already set. So you play the games that are in front of you. And when you win, you win. When you take L's, hey, you go home and go play in the Music City Bowl, which is not bad. Bowl checks and bowl gifts are awesome, man. That's the only reason why I want to play in the bowl game.
What's the best bowl gift you got?
You know what? I never really kept any of the gifts. I usually gave them to my friends and family members because they really.
Okay. You can tell them you got a Game Boy with Tetris. It's okay. You can go.
I've never owned a video game system, and if I did, I gave it to my little brother. I gave stuff away. I'm a cheerful giver, bro. I'm good at that. I just cared about the money. Whenever you made it to a good bowl,
you keep on that.
No, I gave half of it to my family. I took quarter of it and gambled it. And then I financed my other operation with the other part of my son. I can shoot dice. Just ask AC and my crew about it. I'm a fool with it. Go ahead.
So we'll get AC on AC Carter and get him on and ask how serious y'all were on the dice game. And we gotta get AC on.
Ask anybody about those legendary dice games over in Rose Island.
Yeah. Rose, did y'all call it Island?
Yeah, that's what we call it, because if you got on there, it's hard to get off. The Highlands.
If y'all don't know what Smoke's talking about, he's talking about Rose Towers at the back of the university. It's
Rose Island.
Rose
Apartment 321. You got in those doors. I reached up and I took them dice, put them down. Say ain't nobody move but me and this money. And we got down.
We're going to have an all-season show with Smoke, AC Carter, Freddie Millens. Wasn't he up there shooting dice with y'all, Freddie?
Man, I'm just telling you my room, and I can't put the other people in this. All I said was deuce. I never told you what. I'm not going to implement whoever was shooting in the game. If you were there, you were there in Rose Island.
We'll get AC on to talk about Rose Island off-season. Judy Walker, it's over, Smoke. Bama didn't get in, so I know you were happy. It's okay. We play in a bowl game.
I don't think I actually ever smiled and said, oh, Bama's not getting it. I love Alabama, but I can't tell you a lie if the facts are in front of me. I just bleed the truth, man. It's not over. They didn't get in because they didn't earn their opportunity to get in. Beat the teams on your schedule and beat the ones that aren't good enough to play in the same ballpark with you.
Judy was getting you, man. But I think that's what Smoke was getting at. He was never happy. He was just calling it out. No 3-loss team. He was looking at Ole Miss in the face there. He was looking at South Carolina in the face there.
I have never once said a team or a name. I'm just telling you that it looks awful for the national champions to have 3 blemishes on that ring. 15-3. Like, ew. And who are those? You lost to that team. Like, dude, come on. It's a joke.
Jeff Merriman, why should any of these teams have a bye? Take the top 16 ranked teams and all teams play based on 1 through 16. Well, that would be the baseball route. And I get you. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with how. Go ahead.
I do.
You think the top 4 should get a bye?
Yeah. I mean, that's just you being one of the top 4. That should something that you've earned, an opportunity to sit down for a week. If you're the best 4 team, there should be a nugget, a little carrot that you dangle like this in front of them. That's what I want to do. So you give them extra reasons to win and play in. Yeah, I think they got it right. The format is. I'm good with the format.
Yeah, but in baseball and basketball, you don't get a bye. It's just you get the benefit of playing the lowest seed, and you're at home. You get those kind of perks.
Baseball, I get it. I mean, basketball, you're not going through a car accident for 60 minutes.
There you have it. That's very good point, Smoke. Very good point. It is a much more physical game, much bigger toll on the body.
Yeah, it's a different game.
Yeah, you're not playing best 2 out of 3 on 3 days. No. Jeff Merriman, Smoke, the players are getting paid now. They should play.
Listen, I don't think you guys understand that. Everyone knows they're getting paid. It's okay. It's a salary. Jeff, I'm pretty sure that you work. And there's days that you don't feel well. You call in. Hey, they're getting paid, but if they don't have to go and they get a little PTO, I'm going to take my PTO too if I'm still getting cashed out. That's all.
And more to that, Jeff, I do think, man, in this NIL era, there's I know for a fact that it's written in packages that players can opt out of bowl games if it's not. Now, playoffs are different, but there are in it some of the younger players, I do think, having their NIL package that they got to play in the bowl game. So, I mean, I do think a lot of it's based off whatever their contract and pay for play is. But, hey, if they're opting out, it's probably in their pay for play contract that they can do that. So it was already agreed upon, with whoever they sign their deal with. All right. Any more, Justin?
Pettey, I think Justin wants you to read off the show and tell you the star-studded lineup that we have tomorrow.
Oh, we have a star-studded lineup. Brian Walker is – oh, this is a good question. I saw this one. This one I want to get to because, man, there's some – I've heard a lot of rumors, which means there's not much information coming out. Smoke, you're connected to the program as well as any of us. Man, there's been no word. Is Milroe? I mean, I just assumed he was going pro.
Here's what you should ask me. I don't do well with speculation. My honest assessment: Jalen Milroe, go back to school and learn how to play the quarterback position at a higher level. There's no reason for you to leave. My opinion. I think you can get better. And if it's not at Bama, go somewhere else. Pettey and those guys don't think you're good enough. I hope you go somewhere else and go win a national championship and piss everybody off. But you wouldn't piss me off because I think you're a damn good football player. I just believe that contact me. I got a couple of quarterback guys that can help you get to where you need to go. But you have every physical and mental ability to play the position at a high level. You just need to go play more football and get coached up the proper way. And I'm not saying you're not getting coached up well right now. But there's aspects of your game that need to improve. And I got some guys that can touch on that and help you out. I'm easy to find.
Man, Smoke, I hate to put you in the controversial light, but you're not scared to give your honest opinion. And I think you were just then. I think a lot of Bama fans would have been shocked to hear you say, hey, he needs to come back. Would you say he needs to come back to Bama where he's at now? Or does he need to
I want him to come back to Bama. I don't want to run the guy out of town.
You want to come back to Bama and get better. I like it. I
get better, but there are things that you need to do in your game this offseason to help improve. And there are qualified quarterback coaches out there and developers of that position that you might need to go spend time with. And if you need one, I got one for you. I'm easy to find. And I promise you, listen, put this one on me. I want nothing out of it. I'll get you right. Just so we can shut people up like Pettey up. And the rest of the people that don't think that you're really good.
Why do I get painted? See, this is what I don't like, though. Why do I get painted in a hater corner or that I said I've never
once said you are a hater. All I did was repeat exactly what you said. He's not good enough right now.
I agree with that.
And if he leaves and whatever superstar that you have coming in, you would rather have. So if this young man goes somewhere else, I know that you'll be pissed off. Because last year he finished in the top 10 in Heisman, didn't he?
I don't. Yeah. Yes.
And he is going to be drafted in the first 3 rounds whenever he decides to come out, either now or next year.
Then why would you come back if you get that draft grade?
Because he needs more time on task. And in the NFL, time on task you can't get and not be critically judged. And in 2 years, he'll be put on backup quarterback island to get ran out the league. So why leave when you can make $1 to $2 million playing a college game and refine your skills?
If you could get the one rare occasion that you get the Aaron Rodgers setup where you do get to be a quarterback in waiting.
That ain't happening. Sorry. You're not getting better sitting on the bench, especially for him. Like Aaron could always sling the football. Like he needs time on task. And that's playing the game. But he needs to go study with someone that can teach him how to play the position from the pocket, but when he is moving outside of the pocket, to understand what he needs to see and what it needs to look like. Like I said, I got a guy for you. If you don't want to lobby and let me help you, that's fine too. But I promise you, I got somebody for you. I'm easy to find. Anybody in that building can tell you how to get a hold of Smoke.
There you go. We're going to send this clip to Milrow. We can send one from the Bama Standard. It won't get us hated on. Smoke's giving him some positive
Please don't
vibes.
send it to him. You don't have to send it to him. If he ain't watching right now, he ain't locked in. But I'm telling you, I got it. And he probably telling me, Coach, he probably tell me, Smoke, I got somebody already. Okay. Continue to do what you've been doing, and you'll get the same result. Come fool with me. I got somebody for you.
There you go, Jalen. You heard it. Smoke's got you the hookup to take you to the next level. Speaking of next level, a man that's never scared to take it to the next level, and that's Don Parker. $10 with the super chat. Don, one of, all-star fans here at the Bama Standard, never scared to tell it like it is. He wasn't telling lies all season. Pissed off to the highest level of pistivity. But Bama didn't handle its business. Play to the standard no matter the opponent. I hope we understand that now and roll tide. Don Parker, you have preached it all season, bud, that there was something off with this team. Even in the wins against Georgia, you saw things you didn't like. When people were screaming because Bama blew out Wisconsin, you're like, guys, there's some things off. Don, you've been at it all season, man, and to your credit, you said the team wasn't up to the standard, and that proved to be true now that they're not in the playoffs. We had one more question, but keep people with these super chats.
Petty, I'm good, man. Let's run these questions up. I'm having fun tonight.
Gabriel Gilmore, $5. Do you not find it pathetic that SMU's coach threatened to play hooky /COVID from the ACC championship? I actually got a hot take on this. I want to hear your thoughts, Smoke.
Man, I'll let you go ahead and touch it first.
No, actually, look what it almost did. They lost and almost got knocked out of the playoffs for it. They almost proved why sitting out of that thing might have been worth it, because if they don't play, they're sitting at 8th, and you can't make any argument to move them back. I think what Greg McElroy was talking about in the postgame being scared of, if the committee would have dropped SMU, they would have absolutely set a precedence that losing your championship game can cost you a spot in the playoff, which would have in turn done exactly what this coach threatened to do in the coming years. You would have had teams be like, no, hell no, I'm sitting here at 7th, 8th. I've got 2 losses, and you're going to kind of judge me? Nah, we'll let somebody else go.
Let me ask you a question. And this is thinking out loud. And I'd love for our viewers to go ahead and comment on this. Would you rather a team not show up and play one conference championship game, or have the best conference that's done the best job of playing the best college schedules, just totally omit playing against worrying about the strength of schedule, and play cupcakes teams week in and week out? So your week 1, 2, 3, and 4 games are duds until you get into college football. So do you care about 1, or do you care about 50 games? So you sitting out 1. So what? Go ahead, sit out. Like if SMU didn't show up and play in the ACC championship, I promise you, I didn't miss out on the great game.
No.
Right? But if Georgia's not playing Clemson at the kickoff classic, yes, that's something that I'm missing out on. If Notre Dame's not playing Bama, I'm missing out on that. So we just have to be really, really cautious of the precedent that we're setting in. Either way.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say eliminate conference championship games. And the team with the best record in the conference, right, and the highest seed in the conference, that now pulls in strength of schedule and playing against the best teams, the 4 teams have the the buys. So eliminate that game at the end because nobody really want to play in that junk anyway. It don't mean much anymore. When it was just a 4-team playoff, it meant something to win your conference. Right now, they're telling you, like, if you don't want to play, just threaten us. If you don't want to play in quality games, just threaten us, and we'll change it. Well, I want to see quality games. If I was a player, I'd want to play against the best at all times.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a coach, I'm competitive. You can't remove the competitive nature of college football or any game in itself. That's the only reason why we show up, because we're competitive. But then if you're putting on non-competitive games and beating teams by 50 and how it looks if you're playing against cupcakes, then you're going to have the worst against the worst, and you're going to see a lot of teams paying $1 million to go play against App State or Coastal Carolina or Wofford or Furman. You know what I mean? So to me, the committee need to sit down and really think this out. But unlike the NCAA, sometimes we just swing it and wing it by the seat of our pants, and that's what happened this year.
Our boy Chris Williams said Auburn's whole team opted out of the bowl. That's a bummer. Van Edwards, I have a question, Smoke, sir. Since you were so charitable of a person, let your boy get one of those footballs behind you there. LOL. Thanks for keeping it real and not just being a homer.
Which one? You tell me what you want, Vanna, and I'll get this done for you, man.
Van,
you just can't have any that has my name on it. Like all these footballs I've actually earned. So I told you, I'm a charitable person to my friends and family members. Right now, Van, you're just a distant relative. We get closer, you come back all week and start dumping some money in those super chat. Man, I got a few. I got a few around here that I can just donate to you. I'm a charitable donation guy, man. I can write it off on my taxes too.
Smoke, as always, man, it has been a fantastic Monday. Ole Miss played cupcakes early, and Kiffin complained that they weren't prepared for Kentucky. That was another problem. Where you played 4 in a row, you didn't play a competitive snap, and then you stepped on the SEC field and got punched in the mouth and didn't know how to respond. Kiffin, though, you can't. So,
Petty, let me ask you a question.
We're about to get Smoke all fired up again. I shouldn't even have read that.
Let me ask you a question. What happened to the days of if you lost one game early, you were like, okay, we can't lose another.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting these teams and say, okay, we can lose 2 or 3 and still get in. Like, that's not college football. College football, I'm trying to go through the entire season undefeated. Right. Unless it's a game of the century, LSU versus Alabama, or Georgia versus Tennessee, or old Georgia versus Florida, where you knew it was 2 top 5 teams, and then this was a collision.
Mm-hmm.
And the losing team dropped 1 spot. But now you're validating losing to the worst teams in your conference and still want to compete for a playoff spot. That's not college football. That's an NFL schedule. And that's not where we're playing, and the rules aren't set up for that. Like, there's no seeding or no ranking in the NFL. It's you go through and you play whatever's on your schedule because, again, they're all professional teams. And I think that's where we lose concept of that. Like, all college teams aren't built the same. They might all be Division 1A, but they're not built the same.
No,
so losing to one and beating the other one is a big difference. So that's why Nick and everyone's saying, fellas, the strength of scheduling and who you play and who you beat matters. And also who you lose to and when and how you also matters as well too.
And look, back to Kiffin's talk about 4 cupcakes. Well, one of those cupcakes was an ACC team on the road, and then you lose to Kentucky at home. Again, that's what they're screaming. It's just different in the SEC. It's just even the
South Carolina and Ole Miss. I can't look at South Carolina saying that they're a playoff-worthy team.
No,
they're a one-man band on offense, and he's not an elite football player. Like, your defense played well towards the end of the year, but you're a ragtag crew going through it.
Well, and look, on the flip side, I'll do this, and I don't know how many Ole Miss people we got, and I'm the Ole Miss home or whatever. You say the same thing about Ole Miss. On that night against Georgia, they look like the best team in college football.
They showed
2 weeks later, they lost on the road in the swamp and showed that what they are. They're a great team some Saturdays, and some Saturdays they're an average team that chokes on themselves. So, I mean, that shows you're not consistent. And what are championship teams, if anything?
But again, Petty, that's college football, and that's what that's where we're in, the landscape where we're in right now. That's it. There aren't any dominant teams. The best team right now with the least amount of holes in them is Oregon.
Yeah.
Texas, as good as they look the week before, they can't figure out Georgia. As well as Ohio State's played, they can't figure out Michigan. So, again, don't punish Ohio State for not being able to play a physical game, because they don't wake up like Michigan. Now, Michigan wakes up and they want to play physical. Georgia wake up and they want to play physical. Texas, maybe sometimes. Ohio State, maybe sometimes. But those other teams are just bad matchups. And style make fights. If Georgia plays Texas again, Georgia wins. If Buckeye plays Michigan again, 9 times out of 10, Michigan just bloodies their face. But you get Bama versus Michigan, Bama might whoop them by 50.
Yeah.
Don't mean Bama is supposed to be in, and Bama's better than Ohio State. This is a bad matchup.
Matchups mean a lot. Mr. Yelder would go ahead. Mr. Yelder with the $4.99 super chat. Sitting out a championship game should be considered a forfeit loss.
You know what, Petty? Get to this question about Smoke. Do you think that DeBoer is cleaning out the receiver room?
Smoke. Kenny Heathcock says, do you think DeBoer is cleaning out the wide receiver room?
Absolutely. I don't think he is, but I think it's naturally purging itself out, because you really only have one top-tier receiver in that program right now, and that's Ryan Williams. I said it, and you guys told me I was stupid and called me all type of different names. Those other guys aren't the caliber type of players that Bama is used to. And whoever was evaluating that receiver room, just like the offensive line room, the standard, down. Running back room, standard, down. Quarterbacks, down. So don't like everyone wants to say that Kalen got left with this great team, good team with Nick Saban as your coach, got you exactly to where you got last year. But what he was left with, like Kendrick Law is a solid running back playing receiver.
But what about, but you lose a young guy like Caleb Odom, 6'5", 220. Is he Ryan Williams out of the gate? But no, he's still a freshman. Those are the guys you get in your program and you would like to see develop for a couple years before they take off.
Petty, I'm going to tell you again, man. Study the trend. You study history. History will tell you exactly what it is. If you believe, I believe, whoever believes that Caleb Cunningham, and they believe that he's one of those players that could develop into I don't want to use another player, Ryan Williams, but a good college football player with the potential to play in the NFL, as a receiver coach and as a coordinator, as the head coach, that guy does not leave your building. Good players don't leave teams and you allow them to. They leave because you don't value them as much as the staff before. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way that they evaluated it, and that's however they want their receivers to play. Caleb Cunningham is not that type of player. So maybe it's time to go somewhere else and get better.
Well, there you have it. So it's not cleaning it. So you think it's more addition by subtraction is what I'm trying to spit out.
Natural purging.
Natural.
An organization. Listen, Bama is a top tier program. If they want anybody, you're not leaving. If it comes down to money, they can play that game too. If it's development and you're saying, hey, I want to play with a really good quarterback, unlike what you believe, Jalen Milroe is one of the better quarterbacks in the United States. What other program can you show up to and give you everything that Alabama can provide for you? So again, they didn't naturally recruit this guy. And if he walked in and said, I want to leave because I want $200,000 or $300,000 more, and you say, dude, we've given you every opportunity to play and you didn't show up. So you got to look at player and coach and system. Do you have the right people around him to develop him to get him to the place that he needs to be? And I'm pretty sure everybody said no. Did you evaluate him and think that he's a 5-star or quality player to get X amount of NIL? No. So we both shake hands and we both ask each other, this ain't it. And we'll just bow out gracefully and part ways.
There you go. And then you're refilling with what you got people like Derek Meadows and Latier Brooks coming in. Either they'll get the job done or they won't, or they'll move on and we'll get the next guy up. It's this new world.
Good luck. I'm not a fan of getting rid of good players. If you regard him as a good player that can help you, you keep him. I know what's in the house. I never wanted to go shopping outside of the house not knowing what I have inside of it. None of us saw Caleb Cunningham show up this year and play.
Not Cunningham. I'm talking about.
I'm sorry, Odom. I'm sorry. Odom.
Oh yeah.
No one saw Odom show up and play this year and walked away. Like none of us did. On a team that, like, tell me the top 2 receivers for Bama this year.
Oh, Bernard and Williams.
So there's plenty of opportunity for the number 3 to show up. Who's the number 3 guy? Still looking for him.
Yeah.
So if he was good enough this year, Caleb Odom, then you play. Like even the tight ends didn't look good this year. Let's be honest. The Bama offense didn't look good. It wasn't consistent.
CJ Dupree looked pretty good. I thought Dupree looked good when he got his opportunities.
Hey man, I was with CJ Dupree when he was at Maryland. His worst 2 years of playing college football was at Alabama. He played better when he was at Maryland.
I'm gonna have to bite my tongue off.
You don't have to bite anything. I'm just telling you.
It might have been the person distributing the rock.
So you think that Leah Tungavailoa is better than Jalen Milroe?
Throwing the football around?
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. You ask Mike Locksley who would you rather have, Milroe or Leah? I'm taking Milroe.
Well,
yeah, I know.
But I'm also Taylor offense. That's
and also
we go another hour on.
And I also ran some numbers by you. Your number 2 receivers, best year statistically, is with who?
Alabama.
Good. He played with Michael Penix, didn't he? And 2 dominant receivers on the outside. Like, okay. Like, everyone was, oh my God, Ryan Williams is one of the greatest players ever. Somebody had to throw him the ball. Jermaine Burton went in the 2nd round. Like somebody had to throw him the ball. Like, I never heard all these complaints last year about him playing. Were you complaining about his play last year or the year before?
Yeah, I've never been a bit. I also wasn't saying bench him. I was saying let's work the offense to fit his talents. Like I never was a bench Milroe guy. I was let's fit it to work. Let's try to quit putting a square peg in round hole though. Let's not make him a draw. The games where we were throwing 45 passes, I was scratching my head saying, what are we doing?
I know you guys can't wait for Ty. I know Ty's been there for what year is it for Ty?
Man, you say Ty. I think there's a guy named Keelan Russell that a lot more people are excited about, to be honest. I know he's young, but give me one of those Texas 5-stars all day that play in those upper legs. But we'll see. I know.
Give me a Texas 5-star.
I knew. I just bit my tongue off saying that. We're gonna go with Mill. I got you.
Go ahead and give me the best players out of Texas. They usually go to Texas.
Smoke, where can we find you, man? Other than just raising hell on this show with me, where can we find you on the off times?
Well, man, listen here, dude. You can find me on X at Coach GV Dixon. And on IG, Smoke GV Dixon. It's real easy. I know you guys got a bunch of questions. Shoot them to me. I might reach out. I might not. Football's behind me. Just shoot me your address. I might not. But I'm telling you, Van, my brother, man, I got you, bro.
Van's the real deal, man. We love Van at this show. Smoke, as always, I look forward to these Monday nights talking ball with you and I think we're the one show that just kind of has the 1-2 back and forth. And I don't know. I hope the fans enjoy it because I like talking different angles with you, man. It's always fun with you. But the week is just beginning. As it's called the opening kick, that means we're just getting kicked off. We have a full lineup of shows in this week to try to figure out where Bama goes from here. What's going on in this crazy college football world? And tomorrow night, we have all-star lineup on the flagship, the Bama Standard. And guys, I'm sorry. It's almost like in the kickball game in 6th grade where they pick all the best players, and then there's one dude left that they got to pick. Well, our boy Justin got called in to parental duties, and they got an all-star panel tomorrow, and the kickball team ran out, and they had to pick me. So I'm going to be there controlling the 1s or 2s with Reggie Ragland, Bo Scarborough. I think Tyler Siskey's going to jump in the house. Smoke, are you going to be there with us?
Can I?
Come on, man.
Then I'm there then.
Smoke, we got Steve Brown. We got Steven Smith. Is Marvin going to be there? Shake your head, Justin. Is Marvin in there?
He better be there.
Marvin, look, if you don't think that's a panel of people that are going to raise hell, you haven't been paying attention. So look, 6 o'clock Central tomorrow, tune in, the flagship, the Bama Standard. And sorry, it won't be as pretty of a dude with as good of a voice leading the show. Our man Justin's going to be out, but I will be doing my best to bring you the thunder. And then an hour after that, I'll be on the final whistle with my man Matt Caddell, Chris James, the star of the Bama Standard, Dan James, Lushawn Graves, Ty Hayes, talking. God knows what we'll talk about. They ain't even told me yet, but there may be a mailbag. Lushawn will probably spit nails and piss fire and brimstone and all that stuff. It's going to be magical. Check us out. Then Wednesday night, 6:30 Central, we got the Crimson Dynasty with CC, JM. I think Stephen Smith comes on there. Dan James. Check them out. Crimson Dynasty. CC never holds back. And I promise she's going to be fired up after this week. Then after that,
she's getting ready to get rid of Milrose. He's on that bus too.
But we might need to get Smoke on with Sishi Wednesday. Just one more night of. I don't want that. 8:15 after Wednesday night, after the Crimson Dynasty, you got your man, the myth, the legend, George Teague with Teague's Take, breaking it down. Chris Williams, if you get Marvin an extra small T-shirt, he'll be there. If you get Marvin an extra small T-shirt,
Chris, my man ain't here. I am a protector of my brother. Leave him alone. If he does get an extra small T-shirt, he looks very good in it. If you can send us an extra small T-shirt and how you look in it, we might have a conversation. Keep going. No bellies, 6-packs.
I don't think we all look the same as Marvin in an extra small. That's for damn sure.
I do.
Well, I've seen you hide the gun show. Marvin does not.
Because Marvin is one of those guys, man. He don't know how to be humble.
He's a linebacker, man. Do they? 7:30. You see, you cornerbacks are a different mindset. Y'all never messed up a play. Y'all got that short-term memory loss where we never screwed up. Linebackers are just batshit crazy, man. They just ain't. The elevator just only goes a certain level with them guys.
Yeah, he's a mouth breather. That's why. Keep going.
Thursday night, we switched the channel a little bit and go into the hard court, going hard in the paint. 7:30 Central. JT, my man Herb, and me will be coming to talk Bama basketball, taking down Gonzaga last week. The tide keeps rolling on the hardwood. Check us out Thursday night. We'll be going hard in the paint. We have no after game show until the bowl game. So not again, catch us on Sunday night talking Bama with JT, JM and the boys. I think Stephen Smith, 7:30 Central, I believe is their time. We're all over. It's under here if I got it wrong. Guys, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out. We had a hell of a show tonight. We had a bunch of people in the chat. Come back with me and my man Smoke every Monday night. Sometimes we have some guests too. We'll have some guests in this off season. Smoke knows a few people, so we'll keep it liven up. Hit that like and subscribe.
They're coming on next week.
They're coming on next week. Yeah, we're going to talk about Rose Island. Rose Island. Hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter X, come over to the Bama Standard. Hit that like and subscribe so you can get the alerts on every show on this network for the entire week. We love you as always, and we will see you next week. My man Smoke. Peace, brother.